What I'm going to talk about in this video is not fun, but it's going to make you a ton of money. And I'm going to explain why so many of you are leaving massive amounts of money on the table right now and not using your single largest competitive advantage. And these lessons have come hard earned from years in business. I've founded and exited 9 businesses, my last one at 46.2 million bucks. Our current portfolio is over $200 million a year, and I make these videos so that you can make money. And the big concept I want to talk to you about is scaling the unscalable. And I'm going to give you some big tactics at the end of this video after I explain why it's so important, why everyone gets it wrong. I will say this as a quick pro tip. For those of you who have very low volume, everybody tries to get to the things that are like, well, that doesn't scale before they like make money. And I find that hilarious. So like you can either be busy or broke. And if you've got time, then you have no excuse not to make money. What I mean by that is if you DM people and then try and send them your link, hop on the phone, talk to them. Like it's okay to sell people over the phone for a $30 a month membership or a $99 a month membership. I say this because the first 5 years of my career, I sold people into $99 a month memberships in person. Talk about the least efficient model ever. But guess what you get really, really good at? You get really, really good at selling, and you get really, really good at copy by extension because you learn the prospect. And so one of the things I think is wildly underrepresented in a lot of business stuff is, and even sales training is, I would rather spend 99% of my time learning about the prospect and 1% about the product. Because if you know who you're selling to, you can say whatever they want, and then all you do is you change the thing, right? You change the thing that you're introducing them to. And I remember realizing this when I was looking at my like webinar presentations over the years. Like I've done a lot of webinars. I've done a lot of presentations that pitch things or made pitch decks for sales teams, things like that. And when I stayed in the same markets, I realized that almost the first 75% of the decks were almost identical, independent of what I was selling. And so whether I was selling, like, for example, when I was in the weight loss world, like whether I was selling semi-private, personal training, group training, or supplements, or meal plans, or nutrition, I pretty much still spent the first 75% talking about the exact same thing, which is about them and their problems. And so I would rather understand my prospect, my customer, way more than trying to obsess about the product. And I will say that most of the times, and I think I told this story last time, but like people only buy because of like 1 or 2 things. And so you most of the time just need to understand what that 1 or 2 thing is, and then just say, yes, we can help you with that. And that's it. And then they're like, done, I'm in. And so it's much more like finding the combination of a lock than trying to say, here's 20 different things that could unlock all locks. Just try and find the 1 or 2 that'll work for them. And the advantage of the sales calls is that you will be able to really quickly prune down your stack in terms of the bullets that exist on your about page to convert a higher percentage. And so I'll give you a fun little tidbit. Like we just rerouted our the acquisition.com page where it says if someone wants to say they want to start a business, it just says, awesome. Do you want to start now? Or do you want to start later? If they say start now, then it's like, there's just 3 bullets. There's a million things in Skool. Think about all the stuff I could talk about in terms of features that Skool has. I just talk about 3. So it's like, you get calls with me. If you have questions, which that's what we're about to do, you've got the monthly mastermind with 8 hours. You know, if you price compare that to the things that you do weekly call at mastermind, that's usually like a $10,000 to $100,000 thing, depending on the level of access. And then you've got the platform that will actually facilitate everything you need. So tech is no longer a problem. And so it's like most people hate tech. Most people want questions answered. And most people have a value that they ascribe, at least on some level, to having huge amounts of very deep business knowledge specifically applied to their business. And so when I looked at, and this is just from the data you guys are giving us, we're like, okay, well, those are the things that people care about the most. So those are the 3 bullets. Are there other things? Sure, but they'll find that out on the inside. And I prefer to leave room for over delivery. Like if we promise 3 things and deliver 10, awesome. They're not upset. But if we promise 10 and they only use 3, then they might feel like they're not using it. And they actually cancel because you give too much. Kind of crazy. Rockin'. So let's do A's and Q's, Q's and A's. You have questions and I may or may not have answers, but at least I'll try and entertain a little bit.
Earlier this week, I made a post asking for your questions. I'll start there when we get through them. If we get through them, we'll move on to questions in the chat. I've broken up the questions by traffic, conversion, price, and retention, which according to someone pretty smart are the 4 different pillars of growing a Skool community. Traffic, growth operators, influencer partnerships. We've got 3 questions. First one, Jamie Walters. My current situation is I just got headhunted for big business events, the fastest growing UK business growth companies. My desired situation is have a community of young, aspiring entrepreneurs looking to break free from the 9-to-5. My problem is building brands to attract people without running ads. My question is, should you or can you suggest a cheaper and just as efficient way of getting a bigger brand with someone who doesn't have the money to invest in paid ads or the time to just create content hoping for something to go viral?
Can you put the question back up again? I want to make sure I understand
Yes.
it.
Yes. I put this under this category, predicting your answer.
Okay, great. All right. Can you suggest a cheaper or efficient way to getting a bigger brand with someone who doesn't have the money to invest? So I'm guessing he doesn't have the money to invest or the time. So you have neither money nor time and you want to build a big brand. That's what it sounds like. Okay. So in my opinion, Jamie, the way that I would do this is the starting from zero post that I have that outlines this in a lot of detail. I also made a long 45-minute video that went out on YouTube. If you guys didn't see it, I think it's how to 10x your business overnight is the title that won the split test. But basically, it's about how to attract one mega influencer, and that is basically how you like. If you have no money and you have no time, then the only thing that you can do is reach out to people. Now that still takes some time, but if you're like, I want to invest zero resources into having a big brand overnight, like a very tough ask. It's like I have no inputs, but I would like tremendous output. Now I get the not having money, and I can understand not wanting to have the time to make content, but you have to have some time. Like I have to say, but you can't be both busy and broke, right? And so if or like you can have free time and be broke, or you can be busy. And if you're still broke and you're busy, then you're doing the wrong stuff, right? And so I would highly recommend using outreach as the method, which would then leverage someone else's time and money or the audience that they've already created in order to build that brand. And so if you want to have your desired situation, community of young aspiring entrepreneurs looking to break free from 9 to 5, then I'd be looking at the people that cater those, and you probably already follow some of them. And so I would start with the people that you already follow, that you're already a big fan of. And I would go above and beyond to try and get close to them. And sometimes, just to be really candid with you, sometimes it takes, a few months of kind of warming people up. It's kind of like, you want to ask a girl on a date on Instagram. It's like if you slide in the DM and say, hey, let's meet at my place tonight. They might be like, nah, especially if it's a super hot girl. She probably has a zillion of those. And I'm using this as a figurative analogy, but like if somebody's got a massive following of the exact audience that you have, they're a super hot girl in the situation, right? They're the pretty girl to dance. And so it might be complimenting them on their content, it might be, feeding into some of the things that you like about them, trying to provide value ahead of time, which I talked about in the webinar at length, which is like actually like make them content by making stuff custom for them, tagging in it, mentioning them. Most people do look at their tags. I look at my tags still because if someone makes a cool post, I can just share it and it saves me time. And you can demonstrate value in advance by doing that. But I'm going to be honest with you, like it's gonna take time, some time, less time than building a brand on your own. But I don't know what other choice you have with those constraints. All right, let's see here, Jeff. Here, I'll let you read your.
Yeah, some of these questions we can skip current and desired. His current is basically he is making 11K in some job. His desired is he wants to quit his job.
Okay.
His problem is that he can't find an influencer to partner with. He's ran out of influencer leads. He's been reaching out to influencers to find a partnership and have no successful replies. He's used the script you've recommended. He sent 700 cold emails, and the cold email script from $100 million leads sent another 300. I even pre-made school groups for some of the influencers, pre-recorded a Loom video demoing it, sent that in email, and received no interest. My question is, do I just keep doing what I'm doing, or is there a better path to take?
So there's something that's not working in this process because 1,000 reach outs is a lot, to be really honest with you. So I'm trying to look you up if he's on Instagram. Let's see. Jeff Rowell. Let's see here. Jeff Rowell. Let me see if I can find you on Instagram. I cannot find you on Instagram. Maybe this is you. I don't know. Career nerd, wicked sense of humor. I don't know if that's you or not. It looks like you. The closest to nope, that's not you. Okay, so I don't know where you're reaching out, but I'm guessing if the response rate is low, then they're looking at other things that are causing them to not respond. So I would need to have a better breakdown of the actual metrics of the funnel, meaning, okay, I can see the inputs, which is you have 1,000 messages out. Okay, what percentage of them have opened? What percentage of them have replied back? How many of them are do not respond? Okay, so this, I'll bet you, this is the problem. I'll just tell you right now, this is the problem. Like I highly recommend going through the webinar that I made literally on this, because the first step, you make $11,000 a month, verify yourself. Like look like you have 0 followers. Like we gotta make you look more legit, so that you can get more response rate. And this is me just trying to take out the fluff of the response, with the niceties that be sandwiched around this. This is why no one's responding. Like 0 people follow you, and so this honestly looks to me like a bot account. Um, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it looks like that. And so honestly, the first thing I do is like invite people who actually know you, like in the real world, to just follow you like a normal, like on Facebook and Instagram, it's like invite all your friends, or like befriend all those people. Like you're following 8 people, like go follow the 1,000 friends that you know in the real world, and you probably at least have a few hundred followers that'll follow you back. That's kind of how it works. And verify yourself, and then all of a sudden it'll look a little bit better. That's like, I mean, I'll tell you right now, like if that's where the GMs are coming from, that's probably the issue. And I know that this sounds like painful because you're like, shoot, I spent all those messages, but like this is the ignorance tax, man. Like this is how we pay it down. I do think though that like you have this job. We have to look at the metrics of the funnel. And that seems like obvious bottleneck number one. Now you did do email, and I don't know what it looked like from the email perspective. But I would imagine if you had no response rates there too, like there's something very early on that's causing people to not like trust that this is legit. That's the problem.
And this is the video that Alex is referring to. It's very, very, very good. And anybody that's looking to do influencer partnerships should definitely watch this video. The
I
one
literally
thing
made it for everyone here, just to be clear. I made this video, I made it public, but it's for you guys. I made it for you guys. It's a full training on how to think through it, like just who you're targeting, how to pick the right influencers, what's a message, what are some of the hacks in terms of making your profile more attractive, like all of these little things, so that you can avoid kind of wasted effort. But that's okay. Jeff, just as a side note, you actually did 1,000 reach outs. So like, I'm fucking proud of you for doing that, because you actually did something, which already puts you above 99% of people. So I promise you, if you stick with it, you will get there. And it'll literally be like one tweak. And I'll tell you this quick story that might drive this home. I had a physical therapist who was working with me on stuff. And first time I met him, I was like, so you got a lady? I was just making conversation. He was like, nope. And I was like, oh, all right. Like you looking, like you on the market? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. Why don't you have a lady? I was like, you on the apps? He's like, I'm on the apps. He's like, the problem. He's like, I do it every day. He's like, I'm just not getting the matches. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I was like, oh fuck. I actually felt kind of awkward for me in that situation. And so this is what he did. So I saw him like 6 months later, and I was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh my God, my life's amazing. I've got like 6 girls I'm like, dealing with at the same time. And I was like, wow, that's a huge 9-day difference. I was like, what'd you do? He's like, oh, I bought a course on how to use apps to get girls. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But he's like, dude, the biggest thing is I just changed the pictures. He's like, I just got professional pictures. That was it. He's like, I got professional pictures and I fixed my first line, which by the way, the line was, my name's Zach, you're cute as shit. That was it. That was the first line that got responses. All right. For the guys. And so that was it. That was the big thing. He's like, and then all of a sudden he went from like 5 matches a week to like 10 a day. And he'd been doing the work for months. And so it's usually just 1 or 2 tiny things. Like Jeff, I think like if you had you have 0 followers. If you had a normal amount of followers, and you probably have people respond to this post, because I'm guessing no one is, because you have no followers, no one's seeing it, right? And you verify your thing, and you follow, because right now you follow 8 people too. It doesn't look like you're active. And so that would be the big. I don't have the email, so I can't see that, but like just from the big obvious of this, that's the fix. So that's my little story there. Okay, let's hear the next Q&A.
All right. Final one for the growth operator, James Wyman. My current situation is I'm about to take on my first influencer client using the How I Would Win the Skool Games Hormozi method. My desired situation is to crush this opportunity. Influencer has 300,000 following on IG. My problem is I've never done this before. My question is, what do I do at the first meeting to make sure this goes well? Partnership expectations, roll out a plan for building the community, and marketing plan for influence to push the new community. I want to lay it out so it's very professional.
All right, perfect. So this is great. So one, I actually walked through the presentation inside of that presentation that Kirby showed of like how to lay out that little talk. So go watch that, number one. Number two, I talk about this, the closer framework, and it's a different presentation. I have that on YouTube, but I'll walk through it with you guys very quickly, which is closer framework is an acronym for CLOSER. Clarify why they're there, label them with a problem, overview their past experiences, sell them the vacation, explaining with their concerns, reinforce the decision. Those are the 6 steps of the closer framework. And so what we're trying to do here is that when you get on the phone or you Zoom, or ideally if you can go and meet in person, if you can, like if you don't want to squander this opportunity, like if you meet in person, the likelihood that they'll follow up, that they'll respond, that they'll take it seriously, that they'll take more time with you is just it's increased tenfold. So if you're really serious about this guy, and ideally it's somebody that you followed for a little bit, you actually are a fan of them and of their work, and you think that they have a good audience, then I would say, listen, man, where are you currently at? This, like, we have these questions. What's current? What's your desired? Right? And what's the issue, and why haven't you done this so far? Right? So this is, we're clarifying the problem. C is like, you're here. You want to go here. What's the obstacle? That's the C. The L is literally just restating it back to them. You're labeling them with a problem. Okay. So what it sounds like is you want to keep making media, but you also want to make money, but you don't have the time. Does that sound about right? Yes. Okay, cool. Well, then I think that we might, have you done anything else like this in the past that you've tried? This is overview past experiences. And the reason we do the O, and this is just from my experience, is that it helps you diffuse bombs. And so rather than just be like, great, I can help you out, let's hear all the things they've tried that they hated, so you don't say any of those, right? And so they're going to tell you all the things they've tried so far, or all the things they didn't like. And then that'll arm you or help you navigate the landmines that are going to be in the conversation. You're like, okay, totally get why you didn't like that thing. Oh, the white label thing. Oh, you did the affiliate deal for 10%. Yeah, you didn't have any equity, you didn't have any ownership. That completely makes sense. Oh, they give you 10%. Well, I want to do the flip of that. Like, I want to take 30, you get 70. All right. And the real thing is like, again, there's a big part of this is that every position has an advantage. So the fact that it's your first one matters less, because you just, as long as you treat it like a professional, it's like, oh, it's not my first one. This is my only one. There's a difference there. It's like, I'm looking for a partner. I'm not looking for clients. And so if all this school stuff sounded interesting to you, I do have an easy offer for you. You can go to skool.com/games. And what we have inside for you is we have 3 calls a week with guys who are actually making tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on Skool, using the platform, teaching you exactly what they did step by step. So we've got calls for you of other people. We've got a community of others to help you out. And I think the benefit here is that you get people who are both starting with you at zero, but people who are also at the end of the race cheering you on. And so you kind of have like 3 types of accountability. So you've got peer accountability, you've got kind of like coach accountability, because people are rooting for you, but then you also have alumni accountability, people who've already been through it. And then I made a course that I put in there. It's free. It just shows you how to do this, the different ways to play the game, the different kind of like avatars that you can self-select. Maybe I'm somebody who likes making content. Maybe I'm somebody who's better at ads. Maybe I'm somebody who already has an audience. Maybe I'm somebody who likes outbound. Maybe I'm somebody who likes to have a partner. So I break down all the different paths that you can use to really start making money on the internet with what I think is the easiest business model out there. The best part, in my opinion, is that all of this stuff, obviously we have the prizes, the top 10 get to fly out, so hopefully you can do that. But you only need 3 people, and I just did a 1-day full deep dive. It's 8 hours of me just helping the top 10 communities scale, and those recordings are live right now. So if I had a $100,000 mastermind or something, this would be it, except it's yours and it's free. And here's my incentive for you. If you just get 3 people into your group. All right, so I like to put as low as I possibly could. You get 3 people into your group. You can get your friends in there. I don't care if you cheated. It's fine. Get 3 people into your community, and you get all the downloads from that. And all of this stuff, you can start for free for 14 days, just so you can get a feel for it. You can go in there, download everything, and steal it all for all I care. All right? But my hope is that you actually use it so you can make your first dollar. And I will just repeat this one stat, because I think it's the most important stat I think of the business right now, is that 30.4% of people who finish their first month of the Skool Games make their first dollar online.